Okay, so in homework examples 1, it says write the ratios for sine p and cos p. So this p here, remember that tells us which angle we're looking at. And so based off of that angle, that's how we know how to label our sides. So across from is opposite, next to is adjacent, and the hypotenuse is always across from the box. So let's label our sides first. And then sine p, we're going to find two different things, and cos p. So sine p we know is the opposite side over the adjacent side. So that would be 4 square root 10 is opposite, adjacent is 6. Last thing we want to do is reduce this to 2 square root 10. Remember, 10 doesn't get to reduce, just the numbers on the outside. Oops. 2 square root 10 over 3. And that's it. You don't have to solve for p, how many degrees it is. I just want you to write the ratios. Okay, same thing for cos p. This would be adjacent over hypotenuse. And so that would be 6 over 14, which reduces to 3/7. Okay, so pause the video and you try. Okay, so again, P is your angle, so hopefully you label 12 opposite, 5 adjacent, and 13 hypotenuse. We have sine P would be opposite over adjacent, 12 over 13. Cos P was adjacent over hypotenuse, 5 over 13. These you didn't have to reduce. Now, just for fun, real quick, if we could, I know I didn't ask for this, but if you were to do sine Q, for example, now we've changed angles, so now this is now opposite for 5 and adjacent for 12. So sine Q would be opposite over hypotenuse, so that would be 5 over 13. And I just want you to notice for a second this right here and this right here, right? They're the same, right? And so this is actually where the word cosine comes from. Cosine is derived from the word complements. We know co like with, complements in this case, sine. So P and Q are complementary angles. They add up to 90. And so if you find the sine of Q, it's the same as the complement, cosines, the complement being P, and the cosine of that comes out to be the same. So that's where the word cosine makes sense, where the word cosine comes from. All right, let's look at example 2. So here we're ready to start solving. It says find the value of x. So this time what's a little bit more tricky is we don't know whether we're using sine, cosine, or tangent. So I'm going to write those 3 up here real quick, or you can look up above the marker board. They're there as well, so that we can reference, so we can keep them straight in our head. Okay, and here we go. So let's label what sides we have. We have 4 is the opposite side, x is the hypotenuse side, and this is the adjacent side down here. But we don't have anything on the adjacent side, so we're looking for which one. Is it sine, is it cosine, or is it tangent? Which one of these has opposite and hypotenuse in it? And it looks like opposite and hypotenuse are both in sine. So that's how we know we're using sine. So sine angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, we're going to say sine 24 degrees equals 4 over x. Okay, so here's where we throw this in the calculator to find sine 24. And sine 24 was 0.4067. So then we cross multiply. So 4 times 1 is 4. And that equals x times that 0.4067 ... number. So since x is times 0.4067, to get x by itself, we would divide both sides by 0.4067. So these cancel, And again, this is a great opportunity to use that copy and paste feature in your calculator. So 4 divided by, arrow up on top of it and hit enter to copy and paste it into the next line. So our answer to the nearest tenth is approximately 9.8. Okay, so I want you to pause the video on both B and C and see if you can diagnose yourself when you label the sides, whether it's sine, cosine, or tan, and then I'll come back and meet up with you on the other side of the video. Okay, so on part B, since we didn't have anything on the opposite side, we only had stuff on the adjacent and hypotenuse sides of my triangle, that's my clue that this one is cosine. So cosine of 32 degrees, cosine of the angle, equals adjacent, which in this case is x, over hypotenuse, which in this case is 13. So then we cosine 32 in our calculator, and that comes out to, our calculator looked it up in the table, it's 8.4880. So I guess I forgot to mention that there's a cosine and a sine button in our calculator. They're right next to the tangent button, by the way. So, so we're cross multiplying. So that 13 times that 0.848 comes out to be 11.0. Okay, you try. Okay, so I got 11.0. This was a sine problem, I know, because I had opposite and hypotenuse sides. So sine 65 equals 10 over x. Sine 65 was 0.9063, cross multiplied, and then 0.9063 times x. So to get x by itself, we divide both sides by 0.9063, and x came out to be 11. All right, so that's the end of this video, and I'll see you on the next one.